Hi, friends. It's Eric here. I was talking to some people up early in live stream today. I put my first bong rip for the day, which is always a good bong rip. I was informed yesterday of a video about me and Rachel that was made about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when she was going through her rough stage. And I was just struck by how desperate the Spud Monkeys are to take me down about anything and everything. I mean, that was clearly had nothing to do with me at all, right? Like, when Rachel's in a fugue state, that had nothing to do with me. Hi, Nicholas Watson. And so, of course, I was somewhat unclear about that myself. You know, it's like, I'm prone to taking words seriously, even when I shouldn't. I'll talk about possible ways in which I am somewhat responsible for things because I'm objective and self-critical. But, boy, talk about disingenuous. Any notion that somehow I'm domineering, controlling, or otherwise unfair or not a good partner to Rachel is absolutely insane. I mean, it's completely insane. I'm an incredibly good partner to Rachel and to anybody who I'm with. I've always been an incredibly good partner. And the thing is, this is the real definition of grasping at straws, is if Rachel and I had a little bit of a difficult time, linked to her mental illness, which is nobody's fault, and you try to use that to position me as somehow an inadequate relationship partner, you are really grasping at straws. Because if there's one thing I'm very good at, is being a boyfriend or a husband or whatever. I am very healthy in my interactions with the other party, very fair, very loving, not critical, and empowering. You know, it's like my hope is to empower the other party to be who and what they want to be, not to compel them to be anything that I want them to be. Does that mean that I should just sit back and quietly take bad behavior by my partner? No, it doesn't. And just because I expect my partner to be decent to me in return doesn't make me a bad partner. It makes me a good partner. The thing is, I should really have this conversation with Rachel up and let her do the pitch here. But it bothers me to be accused of something that's so patently false about me. And, Becky's accused me of lots of fucking bullshit. So it's not surprising. She's not an honest person. But it's like this one is so off base, so completely fucking off base, and so unrelated to anything in reality that, it warrants some kind of a response. Of course, I didn't watch her stupid video. I was told by somebody yesterday that says basically nothing, except that she knows how Rachel must be feeling because she's been my therapist before. She was not my therapist. She was my relationship therapist. I didn't need a therapist. Kimberly did. But it's true that relationship needed help, and that Becky provided some good help for that relationship, and had plenty of nice things to say. But then I never disputed her competence. I've always just disputed her character, which she, again, displays a lack of. So, you know, she's a nasty, nasty person. just awful. But, you know, I guess it's important to have the contrast at my disposal to know, to remind myself what I am not to be ever. That I never have. That there's a reason why I have these strict moral standards that I try to follow and uphold. You know, and it's good to be with somebody who's, it's apparently Becky made a video a week or two ago that's about me and Rachel and how, I guess Rachel must be suffering from being with me and how awful I am and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I heard about it yesterday. So I just thought I'd generally make a response video saying, if anybody thinks I'm domineering, controlling, that I'm steamrolling Rachel at all, that's just insane. Absolutely insane. And when I say to the world in general that you cannot have a better relationship partner than me, I do it about as well as it can be done. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not misrepresenting things. I'm telling you an accurate depiction of myself as a relationship partner. I'm eminently fair, loving, good, decent, respectful, all those things. I'm loyal. I'm devoted. I'm everything you could want in a relationship partner. So, I like it when Becky reveals her true nature with shit that's obviously bullshit like this in some regard, because I'm not authoritarian at all. What are you talking about? I'm not remotely authoritarian. Not even remotely. I mean, I should have Rachel out here to talk about this, because it's absolutely not true that I'm authoritarian at all. Remotely, as a parent or a partner. Well, I'm distressed somewhat at this notion that Nicholas Watson is echoing, that somehow I'm an authoritarian partner, or that I'm bossy or controlling or domineering or something. Absolutely not the case at all. Not remotely. My not totalitarian day is going fine. I just woke up a little while ago. It's like, part of it is, what are your expectations of the other in a relationship? Are they negative or positive expectations? My expectations are all negative. Like, don't hurt me, basically. And that's a good sign that you're a good partner, If your point is don't hurt me, rather than be this, be different, do this, do that, whatever, all these positive indications, I am the one I have to be accountable to. Everybody is their own accountability boss. Protective and reactive, yes, but I am not authoritarian at all. I mean, that's a good question, Jim Webb. It would be plausible, except that the problem with that notion is, what we're talking about is not FI stuff, ultimately. We're talking about behaviors. What behaviors are acceptable in a relationship, what behaviors are not. My standard for relationship is to be very, very loyal, devoted, affirming, positive. All my expectations are negative, which is to say, I won't let you do bad things to me, but my fundamental message is, I'm here to empower you to be the best person you want to be and can be, and not to tell you how to be. I love you for how you are, you know? I don't want you to change for me. However, I won't tolerate you abusing me, and that's okay. That's a good thing. And so, no, that's why it's really important to well, look, for scummy people, for slimy people who don't have any responsibility or accountability, who suffer from accountability avoidance disorder, yeah, I'm the sheriff. I've taken that job on. That's okay. That has nothing to do with my relationships. That's to do with the scoundrels of the world, the scoundrels and the ne'er-do-wells. Do I level my sights at them? Yes, I do. Absolutely. It's my responsibility as somebody who's capable of doing that. But that had nothing to do with my relationships. You know, most people you deal with aren't narcissists and don't have narcissistic tendencies. Kimberly had the latter that stemmed from BPD. Not really her fault, but not my I mean, that's simply not true, Jim Webb. If you talk to any relationship partner who's honest about my interactions with them, you'll see that, in fact, I've got amazing interpersonal skills that make it incredibly easy to have a resolution with me because I'm so fair and decent at all times. I'm incredibly honest and self-critical and transparent about everything. The reason I put it all out here, Jim Webb, is because I want people like you to come in and say, well, you know what, Eric, maybe you're doing this wrong. And if you ever point to anything specific, there's a good chance I'll agree with you. But this is what people who are disingenuous do. They start talking about me in general terms that simply they have no support for whatsoever. So Jim Webb says, I think perhaps you lack the interpersonal skills you need to resolve issues tactfully. But there are no examples of that, no instances of that in which you're pointing to. It's just a presumption. What I'm saying is, the reason there are no instances of that, there are no examples to point to, is because I make my life very, very public. And everybody can watch it all. And they can see if I make mistakes. And they can call me out. There are lots of people who make lots of mistakes with me. One of the problems Rachel was having the other night with this relationship is that I never hurt her, but she hurts me sometimes. That was the fight we had. I said, well, that hurts me when you say that because you're negating the relationship. And then the next morning I said, I'm sorry, that wasn't fair, because I was really kind of lashing out at Kimberly because we'd watched a movie together, Rachel and I had, that reminded me of Kimberly, just seeing it a lot. And it brought back a lot of emotions, a lot of negative emotions. And so when she was expressing a fear that that it was going to be a problem, that she sometimes hurts me, but I never hurt her, right? Basically, she was concerned that she's not being as good a partner as I am in this relationship, and that could damage the relationship. That's somebody who's an NIDOM can't avoid the basic truth of the matter, which is, you know, there are very few red marks on my record here. I'm very careful in dealing with my relationship partners. Yeah, that movie ignited some old FI via SI link, and I didn't understand it. It took me until the next morning when I was live streamed about it and started talking about it to understand what had happened. Prior to that, I just thought I was mad at Rachel, and I wasn't sure why. But even then, I didn't lash out at her. I successfully managed to navigate it such that I talked it out before she got up, and I was no longer mad at her. I realized what I had done was, it's called not projection, but there's another word like that. Somebody told me yesterday. Transference. Transference. That's what it was. The difference being, Projection is you're transferring what you do onto the other person. No. Number one, no. Number two, sort of, and no. Number three, I have no idea. I hadn't thought about it. Number four, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it some. I've been thinking about different angles. But the way I operate in any kind of discussion like that, debate or otherwise, whatever you want to call it, is I operate based on what the other person gives me. I ask questions and use their words against them. So I don't really prep a lot as a consequence because I can't prep without knowing what they're going to say in response to my questions. It's when people won't answer my questions that I get frustrated. If people won't answer my questions, then there's no progress to be made. Hi, INFG. How you doing? So, it's like FI can sometimes be confusing to me, as evidenced the other night with that movie. And sometimes I can get wrong what I'm supposed to take away. In fact, I'm unlikely to get it right initially, I guess you'd say. But Winston's mom, here's the problem Jack has. We aren't debating his ability as a teacher. We aren't debating his funniness. And we aren't debating his cleverness. We're debating the rightness of what he's saying. Or the rightness of what I'm saying. And the bottom line is, he doesn't have a framework. He can't because sociology doesn't work under any framework. And that's what's going to be exposed tomorrow, unavoidably. Is that he can't answer any of my questions, but I can answer all of his. Why? That's very unlike Winston's mom. I bet that's not what she intended to write there. Am I correct? Feeling a little gassy this morning. Well, what are those pre-Socratic frameworks? What do you mean? The a priori truths? Which a priori truths? I mean, if the whole thing is predicated on something a priori, then it's circular. That's the truth. That's why in debate you can't have a priori frameworks and get away with it. Well, then I turn their inability to answer. I mean, just because they can't answer me doesn't mean they won't say something. To meaningfully answer is to respond to the warrant implicit in the question. And people make words that don't respond to that, at which point they've established that they have no response to X. But needing a response to X but being able to do Y is predicated on the response to X. So your whole fucking building just fell down. That's how it works. If you can't answer all my questions, your building's made of shit. I am, after all, a debate coach, and I am a professional at testing cases. I tested socionics. It fails utterly on multiple counts. So there's to it. It's not like this is a debate, really. This is a exercise in which I explain to Jack the many, many things he needs to learn before he can even begin to argue in defense of socionics. That's what this is. He's not prepared to argue anything against me. He doesn't know how to argue. He doesn't understand rhetoric. So he's fucked, you know? It's not something I relish. Let me make this clear. It's not something I relish. I don't enjoy ripping apart people's worldviews, but I cannot allow. Well, look, socionics can come out with all the models it wants, but it's fundamentally not modeling itself based on understanding what a model is or what it's trying to do. It keeps messing with the mechanics of something that is built on quicksand. Jack's an ENTP, like me, but he's not a debate coach, and he's not 49 years old almost. So he's got no chance in this one. And he's not defending, but most importantly, he's not on the correct side of the issue. That's why he's going to lose. When it comes to understanding cognitive functions, to the extent that he and I disagree, I'm correct and he is wrong. You'll note, I believe, that he's making no such bold claims. And the reason he's making no such bold claims is because he knows he's going to have to dissemble. That he can't win directly. So, there you have it. I don't do that, E3 Zombie. I don't do that. I have to be dishonest to do that. And that's something I won't do. This is not a competition flow debate, in which case it's fine to argue whatever. If I'm getting my kids to argue things, I still try to have them argue the right side of things. I still try to not have them win on bullshit. But if I can if I've got bullshit that they're going to win on, then fine. You know, that's different. My beef with socionics is equivalent to my beef with evolution. It doesn't know what it is, what it's doing, why it's doing it, or how to distinguish between the different things that it does. It's that simple. There's no framework. I'm not going to forget. Don't worry about it. It's in my head. I'm an SI user ultimately, and when things are important, I don't forget about them. It would be too much FE cost for me to forget about this. I'm not going to pay that FE cost. The timing is not working out well for Jack because he'd be better off if I were added up and tired and on the fly. Oh, you mean schedule a live stream? Oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that. That's not a bad idea. I see what you're saying. Okay. I was so happy yesterday when Rachel caught a fish. And, you know, it was I haven't gotten any check. I got to deal with this somehow. I gotta like go online and put in some information someplace or something. Rachel should get one, but I don't know if she's gotten it or not. She should check her account balance. She might have gotten one there. Who knows? I feel really like scattered and I don't know. Just running at 50% right now. Yeah, I know that. They actually have a program for people who didn't file to get the check anyway. No, I haven't filed in a couple of years. I haven't really had a lot of income. Regardless, whatever, I'm not worried about it. I'll figure it out or not. It doesn't matter. My neck, my back. My neck and back, well, they're a lot better than they were the other day, but it's still a little twingy from when I messed it up the other day when I sneezed or coughed while rolling my neck. Hi, Fenty Deluxe. Well, Rachel has an appointment this afternoon at 4 p.m. No. This video title is specifically about what I woke up feeling annoyed by, which is hearing that. Okay, look, thank you for all your TE advice about taxes and stuff. I appreciate it, but I can't imagine anything more boring in the world to talk about than that. So, I'm an ENTP. So, no, I was talking about this video apparently that Becky made a week or two ago about me and Rachel. I haven't watched it, but it's just, Jesus Christ. Why are people determined to position me as somehow a bad relationship partner? Domineering, bossy, or otherwise controlling, when I'm not at all. You know, that was the point of this, is that I'm a good relationship partner. I'm what people should be in a relationship. It's like, you know, when Rachel caught a fish yesterday, it was pretty obvious that she was concerned about how I was going to feel, like whether I was going to be jealous or upset that she caught a fish but I didn't, or something like that, you know, which of course was not the case remotely at all. That's not how I think about fishing. I have a totally different relationship with fishing than that sort of thing. And besides which, I'm a real partner, a real teammate. You know, we win and lose as a team. I was just as happy as she caught a fish as if I caught a fish. Same thing. Probably more happy as she caught a fish, you know? I'm FE third after all. Well, it really just goes to show you all the bullshit she's had to deal with, and she's prepared for all these fucking fucked up reactions to things that I don't ever exhibit. You know? It makes me sad for her that she's had to go accustomed to accommodating people of this kind of fucked up reaction to things. Well, I don't do that. Yeah, I fell under that category for last couple of years probably. As far as like reportable income goes and stuff. Or report, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. I need a poker. I need a Pazoker. So yeah, Rachel has a psychiatry appointment today at 4 o'clock, and we are going to see what happens with that. The thing is, she's currently been taking half of a Clonny, and she's taken 3 instead of 2 of the whatever it's called, Z something. It starts with the Z. Because with half and 3, she's been able to sleep pretty well, but she's still not really, like last night she didn't sleep well. She was up and down all night. She slept on the floor for part of the night. She slept out here part of the night. She slept back in the bed part of the night, and she got back on the floor. She was all over the place. So, but I have noticed that she tends to really fall asleep at some point in the morning and sleep good for a few hours until like 7 or 8 in the morning. And then, she's staying in bed resting, but she's not really, oh, please. Oh, for God's sakes, please don't do this. Oh, God. There needs to be a drinking game, okay? Yeah, I could do that. Nicholas Watson. 100% INFG. No. Melatonin does not work. Okay? No melatonin. Everybody has to take a drink. Somebody once again suggested melatonin. Now that one might work. I've suggested that to Rachel before. It's like, well, just wash it down with a shot of whiskey or something. And then it'll probably kick it in a little bit better. But what was I talking about? Let me smoke this bowl. Oh, hi, Art Claire. Bell ringer. Never go wrong with gold. Always purchase gold. I'm looking forward to it too. I mean, is it true that I'm looking forward to it? I'm expecting it to be somewhat frustrating, but it'll be fine. Yeah. When I start thinking about it, I get lost in thoughts about it. So I'm going to try not to start thinking about it. I mean, he might be capable of making my system better, but he's going to have to scrap his first because this is wrong and contradictory. There's no way to combine these two things. That's what he's going to attempt to do, is dissemble and say, well, they're both right in their own ways. No, wrong. Bullshit. Socionics is built on a fundamentally false notion. Yeah, I'm in EHP as well. But, no, we're talking about socionics. Overclocker. I'm saying that socionics is predicated on a fundamentally false notion, which is a lot of false notions, frankly. The notion of information metabolism is wrong. The notion of information elements is wrong. The notion of strength and weakness and blocks is wrong. Cognitive functions aren't strong and weak. They have differing values. Perhaps they express according to differing values. I think we'd agree on the basic idea that a cognitive function is an attentional manner. I think we'd agree on that basic idea. But then that's going to, right off the bat, try to separate what the men from the boys. Well, what is an attentional manner exactly? Can you define it for me meaningfully? In operationalized terms, which means have these definitions interlinked to each other so that they work together to create a system that's meaningful. Or are you failing to distinguish between which kind of things you're talking about, or correlates or metaphors or whatever, and which things are actually processes? And that's what's going to be immediately revealed, is that they're not making those distinctions, and those distinctions do need to be made. That was very confusing, Anchor Jason Blood. I'm glad you retracted it, rather than it continued to confuse my brain. You can be political here in terms of what you think the advocacy is that ought to be. I have no problem with politics. I'm just not into groups like those darn Republicans or those darn Democrats. Okay, you go buy your bottle of whiskey. Careful there. Alcohol is not a good drug, in my opinion. For some people, it's fine, obviously. Some people like me have problems with it. Why are you avoiding eating meat until Corona has ended? What if Corona never ends, Anchor Jason Blood? And then what are you going to do? I think it's hilarious the way that around here things are starting to get busier. People are all wearing masks now, but places are starting to reopen. Places are starting to ignore the stupidity, fortunately. I want us to stand by the side of the road with a sign that says, "Thank you for acting normal." A little harsh with Nicholas Watson, perhaps, but people experience knowing what is true before even knowing why it is so. Do you think that there are types? Well, yeah, that's NI. Like knowing a holistic truth without being able to explain exactly why you know it is an NI experience. It's, in other words, things that are irreducible or synergistic exist, and there are ways of attending to those things. Yeah, sure. In fact, there's an experiment that shows humans okay, so I would say that there's this experiment where they have, I think it's chimpanzees or gorillas or orangutans or something, some kind of monkey, and some toddlers do the same experiment. And this is the experiment, okay? There's like something like candy or something they're going to get out of a box. And the adult human demonstrates this process that they got to do to get it out of the box. And the process involves a couple of totally unnecessary steps, like, tap on the box twice here and blah, 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 right? So when they teach the monkeys how to do this and demonstrate the things, the monkeys quickly excise the unnecessary steps. But the human toddlers continue to do the process as they were taught, even with the unnecessary steps, and it takes them a lot longer to realize that you don't need to do step 4 and 6. Those are just little gestures that are unnecessary, right? So is it possible to implement a solution that you don't understand the why of? Well, you can see there from an SI perspective, yes, it is. If you're taught a solution that includes unnecessary shit, but it works, then you may persist in that inefficiency indefinitely because you don't want to change the way you do it and risk it not working. But I mean, if you think about it, it's not a bad kind of calculus, right? It's like if it's important in the moment, for example, let's say you're cooking something, and the way you've been taught is to always first boil a small amount of water in the pot and stir that around and then pour that out in the sink and then boil a pot of water and cook your spaghetti. Okay. Let's say you've always been taught that and it's always worked before. Well, you have a choice then in the moment. Do I risk failure of the whole operation to test this thing? Or do I do the extra couple of minutes it takes to do that and then do it the normal way and know it's going to work? If I do it the way I know it's going to work, then I don't have to risk the whole operation failing. If I do it the way that tests this thing, then I'm going to possibly learn that I don't have to use that thing in the future, but I won't have I will incur a risk of the whole operation failing. Maybe it is necessary that I do that. I'm not sure until I test it, right? So, I mean, I think your NTPs are the most likely to risk it, probably, because they're the most likely to ideate out other possibilities and to be using TI to parse out the why of things, not just the if of things. That's well said, Horse Mumbler 1. So, I mean, the thing is, it's like I always got in trouble in life because I was always trying to cook things with a cooking thing. I was always trying to cook things in new ways, not understanding that that's not what cooking is. It's like cooking is not any fun time. You're trying to do a certain thing right. Now I have a certain way I always cook eggs and bacon. I never change that way. I always cook them the same way. I try to get them always exactly the same. I'm not quite perfect, and I get a little bit more runny, a little less runny. But, I know how I cook eggs and bacon. So, so yeah, there's a tendency in humans to err on the side of tried and true, or at least in some humans, to err on the side of tried and true over the funness of experimenting. Yeah, I also have the primary sort of TE goal, I guess, that I dirty as few dishes as possible. So I don't like to do dishes very much. Well, I tell you, you want to see TE Polar in action. I have a dishwasher too. I mean, we have a dishwasher here, but it's like, I just try to make the whole process as efficient as possible, I guess. I don't like those kind of tasks, but they have to be done sometimes. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well cook something good, you know? I would sometimes do unnecessary steps simply because I'm familiar with them and figuring out what works on that task without it interesting me. Yeah. Well, here's another consideration or another kind of corollary activity thing that reminds me of this is keyboard commands. So, like in Audacity, the audio program I use, I've got set up a bunch of keyboard commands. But there are some things I've started using more frequently that I should have keyboard commands set up for that I haven't yet added to my keyboard shortcuts, you know? And you have this thing where in the moment it's easier to just do it the hard way, which is like to go up with the mouse and click effects and go down to it and click it. But in the long term, it would be easier if you set up the keyboard command. So you go, well, I just do it this once, but then you end up doing it again, and that ends up costing you time cumulatively over time, right? So thank you for sharing with us, Anchor Jason Blood, your dishwasher model. I appreciate that. That's something a lot of people don't share. Well, my SI is holding up well, Arclair, but it's primarily because I'm coddled here in my ESTJ father's home. Having an ESTJ father run the ship is incredibly helpful. It's like I'm not allowed to leave dishes in the sink. You know, it's not acceptable at all. So I don't ever leave dishes in the sink. So I'm always I know I'm going to hear about it. If I leave a mess, if I do anything like that, I know I'm going to hear about it. So I do my best to not make any messes in there, just be as tidy as possible. And, you know, it requires me to get my SI in order. Which is nice. I am very fortunate. I've got an environment and situation that is super conducive to supporting me in my shortcomings. Yeah, I know. ESTJs, we should all just sort of bow down to them. No matter how annoying they can be, the reality is, what would we do without them? You know, what would we do without them? They're the only people who actually making their really on their shit all the time, you know? Well, I gotta say, it's been a bit of a joy watching Rachel sort of blossom in the aftermath of changing meds and stuff. She's started really being on top of stuff, like doing laundry, and it's great. I don't expect that from her. I think that's why she's capable of doing it. You know, it's like I don't expect anything. I'm a 7 too. We're both 7s. This is so important. We both understand that I don't feel like it is a perfectly good explanation for why you don't want to do anything. Yeah, well, our Claire, eating and talking. Those are important jobs too, okay? Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? It's like Rachel and I, because we're in this environment where especially now during this quarantine where we have kind of endless liberty. Certainly not endless freedom, but endless liberty. Because, the freedom aspect is constrained by the realities of the world right now. Nobody has a whole lot of freedom because a lot of shit you just can't do. It's closed. And, it's like you can't go to the restaurant defiantly. It's not open. Steaming something, huh? You know what would be a good idea? Instead of steaming in something in water, steam it in bacon grease vapors. Vaporized bacon grease steamer. I want to invent that. Adds fat and protein to your vegetables. I think it's a good idea. Who wants to invest in my new company? Bacon steamer. I do think there's a correlation. I don't think it's super strong, but I would say in general, SFJs, STJs like to cook more than other types do. Well, Cedric Vici, the type that appreciates ESTJs least probably are ISFJs and INFJs. You sell self-cleaning plates. That's great. Self-cleaning plates and the bacon steamer. It's a good idea because you can always save your bacon grease. You don't want to pour it down the drain. And you can't pour it in the trash can when it's super hot or else it'll melt the trash bag. So save your bacon grease and use it later in the bacon steamer. Put the bacon grease in the bottom of it and it steams it at just the right temperature so it makes bacon steam. And it'll steam your vegetables. Oh. Hey, I don't think either air frying or steaming are the same thing as bacon steaming. I think bacon steaming is a unique process that's yet to be invented. I just invented myself. That's a good question, Chris Chapman. Yes, you can. Bacon steamed bacon is one of the most delicious ways to eat bacon. Now, granted, it comes out very limp. So if you like your bacon crispy, then the answer is probably you don't want to steam your bacon. Yes, we are rich. We're rich in metaphysical equity, Claire. We are rich in metaphysical equity. I think in general you don't want to steam your meats. Okay, I think meat steaming is a bad idea in general. Meat steaming. Quit steaming my meat. Put it back in the pan next time you cook bacon? Why? It'll just get more burned if you do that. Don't do that. You save it for the bacon steamer. I do really like the concept of bacon steamed bacon, though. Even though I'm sure it'd be disgusting. I'm thinking more like bacon steamed broccoli and shit, like bacon steamed asparagus. That would be good. It probably wouldn't be good. It probably wouldn't be good, but it would be funny. Tonight, everybody at tonight's banquet, Everything's been cooked in the bacon steamer, including your cake. And last for dessert, we have bacon steamed chocolate cake. Delicious. The steamer ship. This is an idea for a restaurant, okay? The steamer ship is a ship. It's an on water restaurant that just serves things steamed in different stuff. So we have to think of a lot of different things you could steam stuff in, though, besides just bacon and water. I like your thinking there, Sky Gear. Bacon steamed ice cream sounds delicious. It gets served in a bowl like soup. Horse mumbler, will you stop eating my bacon? You should never eat another man's bacon, horse mumbler. That's part of the man code. You don't tell another man how to cook meat. All right? Each man has his own personal way of cooking meat. You know, you could use ice cream as a steaming material, actually. So, ice cream steamed, or just cream steamed, I guess. No point putting ice cream in because it's going to melt right away. God damn it, I spilled coffee on the floor. Ice cream steaming, ice cream, or just cream steaming would be a good way to get. Like, you could, instead of having cereal in a bowl with milk on top of it, you could cream steam your ice cream, your cereal, and just have this bowl of mush. That's good advice, Art Claire. Yeah, can I get a number 3 cream steamed, please? With can you double steam it? Can you cream steam it and then bacon steam it? Okay, sure. Number 3 double steamed. What other liquids could we steam things in besides cream, bacon grease, and water? Lobster bisque. We could have lobster bisque steamed iceberg wedge salad. That would be fancy, right? We could take a regular iceberg wedge salad and steam it in lobster bisque. I think that's a good idea. Gravy. Yes, Salem Black. You're thinking. What else do we got here? Soup stock. Bouillon. Oil? What kind of oil? Sunflower oil? I don't know if I really like sunflowers that much. I mean, sure, they're beautiful and everything. Buttermilk. Yeah. Buttermilk. Everybody gets a free glass of buttermilk with their meal at steamers. Okay. Florida's natural. A Florida's natural steam. For sure. But I really like this fact that everybody gets a free glass of buttermilk with their meal at Steamers. It's buttermilk, steamed buttermilk. You can't dip it. It's got to be steamed only. Steamed only, no dippage. Piss? I'm not sure I want piss steamed things. Skygear. That might not be a very good flavor. What am I doing here? I'm going to smoke a cigarette. What time is it? 7:20. You know, I'd like to serve poached pouch at Steamers, which is poached kangaroo pouch. That would be a good brunch dish, I think. Poached pouch. Bacon steamed poached pouch. That would be our specialty at Steamers. And we serve mimosas, but instead of orange juice, we use buttermilk. Buttermilk and champagne mixed together. It'll be fantastic. It'll go so well with the bacon steamed poached pouch. Couched in buttermilk. Maybe you're not an ENTP, or maybe because you're an ENTP, you don't like other people's extroverted intuition. I do know this. One difference between you and me, Cedric Beachy, is I'm curious a lot less often than you. You're constantly curious, I've noted. But I don't know. Maybe you should spend some time journaling about your boredom. The reasons, therefore, why, the where, how, the when. Discuss it in metaphor in your journal. And then return, having mused about it, and express to us why it is that you find that boring. TE user, probably. But it depends. I might hate that too. Yeah, I got a 4 o'clock appointment today. 3 o'clock thing tomorrow. I should make that scheduled thing with a reminder what you're saying there. Where's his mom? Well, I gotta poo. I'll probably get in bed with Rachel for a bit. So I'm gonna call it a stream. Thanks for being here, y'all. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.